once tap into the truth of we are all gonna die, the reality that appears is like we have one life to be enjoyed. You know, one of the most powerful, famous person, which is the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she died like 8 months ago already, and how many times did you think about her? It doesn't make a lot of sense to be fearful.
Hello and welcome to the Full Potential Living podcast. In this podcast, our mission is to help you self-actualize and build a community of people self-actualizing and stepping into their full potential life together to upgrade the consciousness of the planet. Today, we have my good friend Carlito, Fluito, on the podcast today on the Full Potential Living podcast. And today we're going to be talking about joy, self-actualization, and how to step into our full potential, how those two things are interlinked. So, Carlitos, welcome to the podcast today, my friend.
Thank you very much, Eric. I'm very glad and happy for being here.
Beautiful, man. Well, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I think today, for me in my life, joy and self-actualization go hand in hand. I think it's a big value in my life of living with enthusiasm, enjoying life, to be fulfilled. And I also think that leads to success as well. And so I just want to talk about, I know you have the company Playing Camp, and that is launched and doing great. So could you just tell us, kind of lay the foundation of the conversation, like, you know, tell us a little bit about your background, and then how did Playing Camp come about? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, a bit of my personal story. When I was around 13 years old, I believe, I had this powerful conversation with a girl that just had started the university, and she was studying psychology. And the question that I had back on the days was why people are the way they are. Right? So that's why I was very clear since then. I'm very curious into psychology, into understanding people and human beings. At the beginning, when I was studying, I had a very strong rational approach and logical approach. So it was a lot of let's understand human beings a bit like machines. Like when this happens, that happens. It was a lot of, you know, how can we control humans somehow? So it didn't come from the best place, I believe. It was quite egoic and unconscious. And I was also very atheist. Like all this religion and spirituality for me was very nonsense, right? Nonsensical. And from this, at some point I had like a really, I moved to Belgium for the Erasmus. Erasmus is a student program here in Europe. We moved to different countries, and I had a very strong depression. And the end of the peak point of that depression was associated with addiction to computers and the internet. So at some point I give my computer to my flatmate, and just by being myself locked on the room studying, I had this really intense spiritual experience where I connected with the joy of being alive. Which is really simple and at the same time so profound, right?
Nice.
And I started laughing and dancing in my room. And in this context is how I discovered Taoism, which is this spiritual philosophy coming from China.
Yeah.
And it's really connected with nature and the nature of being and life and death. How all of these are complementary, right? And within the different religions, Taoism has been associated quite strongly with joy. Like there is this sort of story about the vinegar tasters, which has Buddha, Confucius, and Lao Tzu. And for Buddha, life is suffering, so there is not so much joy. So for Confucius, there is a lot of value on the rules, so there is also a component of pain. But for Lao Tzu, it's like the joy of tasting a vinegar that even though it's bitter or sweet, doesn't matter. It's like, oh, I'm a conscious living being able to taste this, and that's wonderful and marvelous. I decided to specialize in positive psychology as the most, let's say, scientific place where I could study religion or spirituality, with a lot of focus on positive emotions, among them joy. And after having a bit of back and forth with positive psychology because of the place where I studied. I doubled down in religion and spirituality.
Is this a master's?
No, I did a PhD.
PhD?
Yeah. It was like 2 years. I worked 3 years with a lab in religions and positive emotions. And then I specialized on the effects of nature on humans.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, all of this is like a steps towards playing camp.
Yeah.
And even going backwards, I used to be a scout as well, which is a lot of playing on the nature, right?
Yeah.
So after this happened, so and I'm speaking on my background more into psychology and spirituality. The other side of it is on dance and performing arts. So physical theater, contemporary and breakdance. There is a lot of connecting with the present moment through the body, right? Because performing arts is this very ephemeral, like it's constantly appearing and disappearing form of art.
Yeah.
So if you have a painting, you spend a lot of time to create something that is going to last long. But at dance performance is happening right now.
Yeah.
And at the same time that it appears, it disappears. So it's like a pure art expression happening in the present moment. There is a lot of training around feeling emotions, feeling the body, feeling each other on the room, and navigating through all of the journey. So after I stopped with the PhD because my life was really miserable, and this associates now with the playing camp as well and community you mentioned, of the importance of being human beings for wellness basically, and for well-being and for happiness. I'm very social, I'm very extroverted. So for me, human beings is a huge source of happiness and joy.
Yeah.
During the PhD and a lot during the degree as well, when I was studying, it was a lot of being alone with books. So it didn't resonate, and it took a big toll into my well-being.
Some loneliness.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Loneliness has been a recurrent topic. So after I decided to stop with the PhD because it was, it's like, okay, I have everything in life. Like I have a big title, people respected me, I have a scholarship that is paying me good money, and I have the security and stability and the flexibility on the work. But it didn't make sense. Like being always in an office alone didn't make sense at all.
So how did that lead to playing
camp?
Seems like there's like 3 or 4 things that kind of came together from this PhD of like a spiritual understanding, different aspects of your life that you did that all like come together for. So how was that born? Like how did that?
So at that point I was like, I don't want to experience life through being seated in an office. I want to experience life through being there, being on the place and doing something. Because also science or academia is a lot of, we are discovering reality, but there is no like direct being on the place, with the people. There is some in experimental psychology, but still. I stopped with a PhD and COVID starts, which was, I believe, perfect timing, because if I have to go through COVID in that state, it would have been super painful. And once COVID started, I had a take of psilocybin, like a pretty big amount.
Wow.
And I was able to eliminate all these fears around what's gonna happen with my life. Because psilocybin, I mean, not attacks, but like targets the ultimate fear, which is death. So, once tap into the truth of we are all gonna die, the reality that appears is like, we have one life to be enjoyed.
Oof, that's something that in previous podcasts in my life, I talk about a lot, is like, you really have one experience here that we know of. Maybe we come back, maybe we don't, but we really have this, and we talk about that a lot at the end of the podcast, like, how would your life be, if you're able to do everything you wanted to do, and then you're able to pass away in peace, what would that look like for you? And I think, for me, it's like, I want to be able to go after my passions my entire life, no matter what, and then I want to be able to leave a powerful and positive impact for other people. And I think, having that sense, it sounds kind of remorse or sounds kind of crazy, but when you get in touch with that, so you're saying that psilocybin really helped you get in touch with realizing that like, hey, we're all gonna die here. It's like a small amount of time.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to be fearful. And even Alex Hormozzi, from a different background, like which is business, he says like, you know, one of the most powerful, famous person, which is the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she died like 8 months ago already, and how many times did you think about her? So what makes you think that a lot of people are going to think about you when you pass?
Life goes on.
After the PhD, I take this psilocybin, and I was already, since many years ago, I wanted to invest a lot in online education, because I learned myself a lot through that. And the possibility of kind of whoever in the planet can share what they have, and you know, the message resonates with someone, and no matter where they are, they can learn and grow from it. So I started learning about online businesses, and in this context, I moved to Zambia. And so the story that is on Instagram is like, in Zambia, I interacted with the kids on the street, and this is how I realized how powerful is play and how easy it can be to play with anyone, with anything at any point, and how fundamental is play for a human being, how much of their core. Because also there is these things in mammals. Play is the main mechanism for a small mammal, for a kid, basically, for a puppy, to develop their physical, psychological, emotional, interpersonal, intrapersonal skills.
So yeah, Carlos, you mentioned that you were in Zambia and you came across these kids and you were playing with these kids, and I can totally relate, because when I was actually a teacher in Botswana, Gaborone, Botswana, and we went outside of the city, about 4 hours outside of the city, and it was like this long ride into the desert. It's like 10 minutes outside of the city. There was like nothing but desert. It was like a packed city and then desert for hours. And as we got out there, the kids, these African kids, were running after our bus because they knew, you know, there was a whole foundation that brought food, oil, like cooking oil and water. That's all we brought them. And they were singing. Like, I have a video of like 500 kids sitting there so joyful and singing just because they had food, oil, and water. And I think you saw them playing around and interacting with us, hugging us. Is that something that you also experienced in Zambia?
100%. I mean, I believe it's a classic, no? Like, as a white person arriving in these fields, no? Sometimes it's football fields or just parks. And in my case, there is this organization called Afro Twist. So it's a dancer, and they used to organize these big, big events where all the kids were dancing. And the moment I was there and I was dancing, like, I was the phenomenon of the day, and everyone is like touching the skin, like to see if the white can become black, right?
So you're good at dancing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm decent. Decent. I know.
So tell us like a little bit about the story of that experience for you, and then how that came to playing camp, like how that intertwined into it.
So there is like a backstory, a backwards and forward story. The backward story is within, I founded this company called Raining Rosas of physical theater, and within the trainings, one of the training was playing camp, which is how can I develop my performing dancing skills through games. However, at some point, and the story here goes around me feeling extremely sad when I was seeing kids that had to work. And in Africa, this is fairly common, right? Like, the kids have to work to bring money to the family. And I can extrapolate this to adults as well, which is like, when our needs are met, we focus on self-actualization, right? And for a kid, when their needs are met, they focus on play. At least if the environment is supportive and if the right type of opportunities are given.
You could say that for adults too. You know?
That's where I'm going, because now with the whole AI, I believe like many of our needs are going to be met. So playing camp specifically is my personal bet into something that can be the future of humanity.
Wow.
Which is joyful connections in nature.
You know, something I have to say there is, you know, when we're at Mind Valley University, yesterday Vishen Lakiani was talking about how AI has the opportunity to not be fearful of the power of this tool, but it literally helps us self-actualize, like he said that, because it's freeing up so much time. It's not that, you know, we're not gonna, it's that the work is gonna be so much less, so that we can work less, still produce, be productive, but also have more free time.
Yeah.
That's the power of AI and what it can do for our life.
My question is like, what people are going to do with all that free time?
Yeah.
And here is where there is like a discretion, right? Like I believe a percentage of the population might choose to double down into the digital world.
Yeah.
Through virtual reality or the Neuralink or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And another percentage will focus on quote unquote being a human or a more primitive human. And this includes art forms, this includes relating with each other, and being on the nature.
Yeah.
So I believe playing camp can be like a solution or an alternative for a lot of people that choose to live in the present moment with the deep understanding of the transitoriness of life. Like we are one of the taglines of playing camp is purposeless activities for meaningful connections. Because of the purposeless activities. Again, when we look into the big picture, the whole planet Earth is going to be engulfed by the sun. It's going to be burned, and this is spoiler alert. We are all gonna be burned by the sun. So
we're gonna die.
And even Carl Sagan speaks about, you know, when they zoom out with this satellite and then they turn it around and they take a picture of the Earth, is a dot. It's a tiny dot in the space. And this is a lesson of humility. Like at the same time that we have the wonderful gift of being alive, when we zoom out, we are here for a while and we do our best. So now that we have the factor of AI that is going to quote unquote or seemingly satisfy a lot of our needs, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Enjoying the present moment.
Right. How are we going to fill up that time? Now that our needs are met, adults can go out and play and self-actualize.
Yeah.
So as far as, you know, talking about joy and playfulness, so if we're thinking about the future where AI is doing a lot of the work for us and we're able to have this more time, you know, how does embracing joy and playfulness actually contribute to self-actualization?
That's a really good question. For me, play, or the way I design playing camp is a structured, extremely open field for anyone to do whatever they want to do. What is giving this is an opportunity of the person of feeling what they want to do, what feels good for them, what is nourishing for them. So in this context, it's like which type of activities, knowing that they are purposeless activities, because playing camp for me is a metaphor of life. You know, we collect sticks and leaves and then we make a shape with them or we draw with them, which is like, this is going nowhere, but it's what I'm doing now, and I'm putting all my attention into this.
Yeah.
So for me, the value of playing camp is bringing this playground experience into my personal life and thinking, what are the games, what are the activities, what are the things that I was doing that resonate the most with myself, and how can I do this more in my daily life?
I see.
And another tagline of playing camp is, life is a game, play with joy. So now we are getting the whole playing camp experience and we are imagining that we all created this huge playing camp around us, which is society, which is civilization, and we get to choose what is the game that we want to play.
Right.
And playing it with joy.
So it's almost like, you know, these type of situations like playing camp, where you're able to get in touch with your intuition, or you're getting in touch with your joy, really, like
Yes.
what is it that I want to do in this situation, will lead to doing that outside of life, like that. And I think that self-actualization, I look at, living a great life as both fulfillment and successful, or just kind of achieving the things that really matter to you. So how would you say like this joy and fulfillment leads to more meaningful success, or meaningful achievement in our lives?
Yeah. Following this narrative of the life as a gameplay with joy, last year I was giving this talk about joy being a tool of manifestation and a direction in life. Tool of manifestation because, someone like me, when I practice visualization, I have a degree of aphantasia. Aphantasia meaning that I'm not able to fully see images on my imagination. Therefore, I visualize and manifest, or when I practice manifestation techniques, I do it through emotion. Joy being, there is this scale of emotions, which I don't know who's the author, the origin, which...
it's David Hawkins.
Yeah.
David Hawkins talks about the scale of... the scale of emotions, and how joy is at the...
it's on the top. It's like enlightenment, joy, love.
I think peace is right above joy,
Yeah.
but joy is...
Yeah.
540. Yeah.
So there you go. It's like joy is one of the strongest emotions. And sometimes I ask this question, like, what's the thing between joy and love? And it seems to be like, joy is like the celebration of all the things you love. To be present on the realization that you love everything around you and you can celebrate.
Ooh. Yeah. Joy is like the celebration of love.
Of having love in your life.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. And I believe peace is the integration of that joy into the self.
Oof. Wow. We can think about that for a minute.
You can pause the video, guys.
So
write it down.
Write down the notes. So I guess I'm curious, and I want to go back to, because listeners out there, I think for the most part, people are generally living like joy here and there, but how can we like elevate our state? I guess more so like, what are the problems that you've really come across in your life that you'd like to like tell your former self, like feel more joy or do this, or like what are some of those problems that other people, like listeners, experience that they can like somehow overcome and experience more joy?
So considering the background on psychology, every human being is different. And it's a key step on self-actualization, know thyself.
Yes,
know yourself.
Know thyself.
So, and referring to my personal story, I'm a very social person, I'm very physically active, right?
Me too.
So playing camp is my therapy, quote unquote. Because I get to play physically on nature with other people. However, there are different types of play, different types of sources of joy for different people. So the question is, what are the activities that they enjoy the most? And how to tap into those. Music is kinda, it always works somehow. When you have a playlist of joyful songs. Dance, it always works. People, when they are like positive, nourishing, supportive connections, it always works. To be seen and felt and to feel supported and loved.
Yeah.
And creativity is so associated, because if I go deeper, we go again to the purposeless activities, but the meaning of I'm a creator conscious being, and I'm able to modify reality and generate things that go beyond myself. There is a powerful success, an achievement into that, which is really associated with self-fulfillment. And this is as simple as drawing a kid, like making a drawing when you're a kid and showing it to your mother. So you have both. You have like, I created this drawing, which doesn't matter the quality because it's a purposeless activity, but it matters the meaningful connection of you as a person that values me and recognizing my effort and my attempts of bettering and becoming better myself. And you are indicating me that the path of joy is the path of creating things that other people can appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it goes around.
I think, you know, there's a spiritual teacher, and when we were talking last night just about the topic, it really came to me. There's a spiritual teacher, Bashar channeling. He actually talks a lot about that has impacted my life quite a bit, especially in the last 6 months. And he talks about there's like these 5 rules to reality and how we can self-actualize, or how we can live our best life. I can never remember the 5th one, but it's like follow your excitement. And that's like at every moment, you know, you're following. It doesn't mean it always has to be something grand and big that you have to follow, you know, a big dream. No, it's like moment to moment, follow your excitement. And when you follow your inspiration, you follow your excitement, then that leads to these magical synchronicities. These synchronicities start to happen in your life, and then it's all of a sudden these amazing things are happening. So it's, you know, following that excitement, doing it as long as you can, without any attachment to what will happen, and then staying as positive as you can during that path, and just kind of letting go of all the results. And I think, you know, when I look at my life as well, it's like all I've really ever done is followed my inspiration. I just feel like it's been such a unique path of following my inspiration. That's something that's so meaningful to me. So I think that's where we're kind of really interconnecting, man, because I just realized, like, wow, this is what really resonates for me, and that's what I saw in you, and I saw you last year, and now the playing camp thing this year. So I think that's where we really connect, is like this joy, this following the inspiration. And I love that. Kind of like we talked about the activities. You talked about like music and different things, being creative. I'd like to do like a quick, like a rapid fire.
Go for it.
1 sentence or less.
Okay.
Of things people can do to stay connected to their inner joy. Because people experience, you know, ups and downs of life. It's normal to have these. It's not that we always want to be, you know, joyful 24/7. We want to make sure we, you know, feel our negative emotions and then let them go. But let's do like a rapid fire. Like, what are?
So
1 sentence or less.
Acknowledge how little time and how infinitely lucky you are of being alive today at this present moment, and breathe into the joy of having a body and a consciousness and looking at the marvelous things that exist in your surroundings.
Woo! So that's like that's beautiful. That's like a nice couple sentences. What are some like simple activities that they can do, like rapid, like 5 of them, like boom, this is what you can do that.
Come to play camp. Be on the nature. Just be on the nature without your smartphone. So there is these 2 things that we fight in playing camp, which is loneliness and boredom. So the solutions are curiosity and connectedness. Be alone in the nature, observing as precise as possible natural elements, feeling connection with those. Look at a plant, look super deep into the plant, connect with the plant, and observe things that you didn't notice before. And do this for half an hour, 1 hour.
Connecting with nature. Yeah, absolutely. That's really meaningful to me as well. So I asked this, I feel like we could, you know, go so deep on these topics and keep going, but I want to kind of wrap it up. And
more fire, chat. More. Give me more.
I mean, I think of like nature, music, meditation, yoga, physical activity, you know, like lifting weights for me, or getting sun, like literally getting out. To me, sun, like vitamin D, is like the most important thing. You know, so I think these are some of the things that.
I'm going to add something around, because lifting weights is mainstream at the moment. However, with my background on dance and theater, what my belief is like this movement like movers, like Guido Portal, for example.
Guido Portal, yeah.
Exactly.
I used to do. I was at Boulder Movement Collective.
Hmm.
I used to do his movement style for about 6 to 7 months.
What that brings, and this is even into a neurophysiological state, is like you are sparking higher levels of dopamine, and happiness is dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine for the achievement and serotonin for the satisfaction.
Dopamine and serotonin.
Correct. So the approach of movers is like I have a body with infinite possibilities that I'm expanding and discovering. So the creativity comes through my body, through the new layers of understanding and exploring what I already have. And this comes to the African kids. Like it doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have, you have a body, you have a mind that you can keep on exploring and understanding new layers. And this is going to bring you joy because it's bringing you creativity, it's bringing you achievement and self success, and also the self actualization. So explore your body. That could be my other practice for joy. Like what are the things that you are not able to do now that you could do? And this goes from writing with your left hand, for example,
right?
Or juggling with your eyes closed, or doing backflips. There is so many practices.
Yeah. Right, beautiful. So, if you could, fast forward to the end of your life, and you could be, like laying on your deathbed, or maybe you're like laying on the beach, or I don't know where you are before you die.
that question for another podcast because I have an intuition.
Oh man, no, that's a good one. But like, fast forward to that moment where you know that you're actually about to pass. Let's just say, hypothetically, you're about to pass away. You're like, this is the moment.
Yeah.
Now think about, you want to end your life with joy, with peace, enlightenment, maybe these very elevated emotions, and you want to be like, you know what? I did everything I could do. It's okay for me to pass away. It's okay for me to go into the next dimension.
Yeah.
What would 2 to 3 things in your life be? They could be like a philosophy that you live by. They could be like an achievement or goals, or just a way of living. What would 2 to 3 things be for you to be like, you know what? It's okay for me to pass away into the next dimension.
So it's a tricky question because you're asking the 30-year-old Carlos, not the day. So I can answer from today. There was this recent question similar, like what could be 3 words message that you could give to your previous self, 10 years, 20 years ago. And for me, the 3 that I connected with was love humanity today, love humankind today. Because today, you can do it now, but today gives you a bit of more of a planning at the same time that you stay on the present moment. So love humanity today. That's one principle. The other one is, enjoy with other people. So that comes back more to the present moment. Like joyful play, or joyful play. And I updated my values recently. So joyful play was one. The other one was polished presence, because it involves a more elaborated conscious choice on how I present myself to people. It's not so raw or so spontaneous. So I keep my authenticity, but I just want to perfect it. And the other one was effortless expansion, because in the past it used to be a lot of a challenging growth. Like how can I keep on growing through pain and through putting myself into difficult circumstances? But effortless expansion it attracts things like this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, it's not very effortful to be sharing these things,
right?
And it's expanding to bigger audience, bigger eyes, bigger ears and minds. And I think that's a measure of answering today. That's a measure of how I live my life, how the impact I want to create on the planet, right?
So could you say those 3 things again?
Definitely. So joyful play.
Joyful play.
Considering that life is a game.
Okay.
Effortless expansion. Tapping into the opportunities that doesn't require pain from or suffering
It's
from
like
me.
synchronicities. Yeah.
Also, yeah, exactly.
Effortless expansion. Okay.
Very,
Beautiful play.
yes, and the last one is polished presence.
Polished presence.
So what are the aspects that I'm still working on that I can improve? And that so when I present myself to people, it comes in a way that is more elaborated and powerful.
I see.
There is a whole video of 1 hour explaining this. It's it's a kind of boring video because it has the slides and me talking all the time, but it's worthwhile, I believe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you could leave us with one message or something that's in your heart or something you want to say, what would it be, brother?
Come to playing camp. Playing camp is you come, you experience, and the beauty of this is I don't feel like selling it through words.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense really.
It's an experience.
In playing camp we don't speak, and I design it consciously. It's like we spend so much time talking, rational mind, and even hypnosis this, meditation that. It's always practices that are going through the mind to the body.
Yeah.
And playing camp is like we are making an agreement that we know that we are able to understand each other without words, and we are going to experience the present moment without the need of intellectualizing or judging. Oh, this is so good. Oh, this is so fun. Oh, this is so weird. No, every participant in playing camp is having their own experience. So if I have a message for the people, is come experience, and you will know how powerful is the simplicity of just playing with other people in the nature.
Beautifully said, man. Yeah, I think it's like getting out of the head and the judgment and into the body, enjoying the life.
Present moment experience.
Beautiful, brother. That was awesome. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the growth and expansion, effortless expansion of playing camp.
Yes.
You as a human being,
Yeah.
and I appreciate meeting you. And thank you so much for this conversation, brother.
If you want to know more about playing camp, it's very easy. You just type playing camp on Instagram or playingcamp.com on the internet, and just come, guys.
Beautiful. Instagram and website.
Yeah.
Playing camp. Beautiful.
Much love. Keep on playing.